Hi and welcome to UTR News Weekly Digest. I'm Tetiana Motzer. On Friday, Ukrainian President Viktor Yanukovych flew to Bavaria for the 48th Munich Security Conference. At the conference, the head of state equated energy security to military security in this day and age. Countries should approach such issues holistically, was the president's message. Economic and ecological expediency cannot be disregarded. The official went on to suggest that this is the case of the recent alternative route of fuel transportation that consume huge financial, time and human resources and create unjustified risks for the environment, all in the name of political interests.
The
issues we bring up are undoubtedly complex. Unifying the rules of the international energy market, tackling complex security questions, including energy security. This should undoubtedly be taken into consideration when working out the new international rules. Firstly, of course, we must work these rules out, and Ukraine is ready to initiate and to actively participate in this process.
During the working visit, the head of state also highlighted Ukraine's international priority as Euro-integration, regardless of political colors. The president stressed that our country has done more work in this direction during the last 2 years than ever before. After meeting with German businessmen, Viktor Yanukovych revealed that German banks are ready to take part if a consortium with the participation of the Ukrainian gas transportation system were to materialize. He also remarked that German business is noticing a serious improvement in the Ukrainian investment climate.
What we do to create conditions for investors, improve business climate in our country. In general, investors operating in Ukraine are satisfied with our going forward, and Germany ranks the second place among them.
And during the conference, the Ukrainian head of state had an opportunity to discuss these issues and others with the current and former U.S. Secretaries of State Hillary Clinton and Henry Kissinger. And Thursday saw the visit of the Prime Minister of Moldova, Vlad Filat, to Kiev. The official met with Ukrainian President Viktor Yanukovych, who voiced satisfaction with the dialogue between the two neighboring countries. The parties discussed coordinating activities geared at Euro-integration.
The active bilateral dialogue between Ukraine and Moldova complies with our principles and amicable basis which exists between our countries. The absence of political problems between our countries is the basis of trust, which is essential to move forward, deepen and expand our bilateral relations.
And meeting with Ukrainian counterpart Mykola Azarov later on, Filat had the opportunity to discuss the increasing bilateral trade turnover, which just reached $1 billion in 2011. Azarov took the opportunity to suggest the Moldovan side engage Ukrainian building companies in more infrastructural projects, Ukrainian agricultural technology on Moldovan farmland, and take advantage of Ukrainian electricity supplying capacities. The head of government also emphasized the importance of ratifying the recently signed CIS free trade agreement simultaneously. And the previous week's Davos buzz spilled into this week. Expert analysis of the World Economic Forum confirmed the importance of the issues the Ukrainian delegation headed by President Viktor Yanukovych focused on: energy security and Euro-integration.
Experts highly appreciated the visit of the Ukrainian president to Davos. The matter is that the main issue of the forum, the national energy security and independence, is urgent for Ukraine now. In addition, Viktor Yanukovych reaffirmed Ukraine's rigid attitude in joining the EU at the Economic Forum.
We need the sovereignty to join the EU as independent and consolidated country. In that case, we can move further within the framework of national structure of the EU, understanding that we have really important and serious relationships. It will increase the level of living of our citizens. Our today's foreign policy aims at this. Also, we want to defend national sovereignty and continue Euro integration course, despite the enormous pressure we feel from different directions.
Experts say one of the most significant events in Davos was the meeting of Viktor Yanukovych and President of Azerbaijan Ilham Aliyev. As a result, now Ukraine is conducting tripartite negotiations with Azerbaijan and Turkey. The main topic is transporting of Caspian gas. Ukraine is supposed to be both transporter and consumer. Specialists are convinced an effective framework for future relations among three countries was established at the Davos Forum.
The energy sector is interesting to us because we have many unresolved energy issues. particularly with Russia. The Davos Forum reasoned to talk about a hope to improve relations in the energy sphere, negotiation with Azerbaijan and other countries about gas.
Experts remind the topic of energetics, which was the basis of the Davos Forum, is probably the most important for the economy of Ukraine now. Thus, in Switzerland, Viktor Yanukovych confirmed to the European colleagues Ukraine's readiness to the joint energy transport corridors creation and cooperation with all partners. Сергій Ковальчук, Володимир Жила, Олена Лазаренко, Ігор Крокодим, UTR News.
Abnormally low temperatures caused at least 122 deaths in Ukraine this week, reports the Ministry for Emergency Situations. More than 500 cases of frostbite were recorded. The Emergencies Ministry put up around 3,000 heating stations for citizens who found themselves outside and defenseless before the cold. More than 11,000 people referred to the stations already. In 3 days of lower than average temperatures, Ukraine uses 1 billion cubic meters of gas and 31,000 megawatt of electricity per day. Prime Minister Mykola Azarov says that this kind of intense energy expenditures were heretofore unheard of in Ukraine. In Wednesday's regular cabinet meeting, officials developed a course of coordinated action for all ministries. The head of government criticized regional energy companies that continue scheduled maintenance work and switch off electricity for consumers. The Prime Minister called on the citizens and organizations not to be indifferent to those around them and help if ever there's a need. At the same time, Azarov emphasized that it's up to the individuals to keep the utilities from overloading at such a sensitive time to save heat, water and electricity.
Due to the heavy frost, the government has mobilized all services. The Prime Minister ordered housing service, police, doctors and local administrations to help everyone who needs it. At the same time, Mykola Azarov called Ukrainians to save heat, hot water and electricity.
Country has been prepared for such challenge. Significant reserves of gas, coal and heating oil that will guarantee the life activity for all heating objects during most severe and long-lasting frost are created. On Monday, the government ordered additionally to supply everything necessary for emergency and recovery trains that are present in every railroad department. So, mobile resource is created in every region to quickly liquidate all possible large-scale accidents in any part of the state.
During the extremely cold weather in Ukraine, the problem of utility services energy consumption raised once again. According to experts, every house built more than 20 years ago consumed twice more than should, so its inhabitants pay twice they should. According to the Premier, the problem of energy consumption in houses must be solved in the nearest time.
In such situation, can we talk about raising the gas tariffs for people? It is clear that we should start from the other theme. We should thoroughly insulate and modernize all utilities, from district heating plants and networks to houses, walls and windows. After that, people would fair and real price for the services they consume.
Despite the frost, gas transportation system of Ukraine works without crashes. First Vice Prime Minister Andriy Kliyev said it. He assured that Kyiv fulfills the schedule of blue fuel supplying for both inner market and Europe. Although due to the frost the state consumes more gas, they compensate the lack from the storage facilities. This year, Kyiv plans to purchase 27 billion cubic meters of fuel from Russia.
Over the last day, 138 million cubic meters of gas were taken from the underground gas storages. Import to Ukraine made 128 million cubic meters. In total, 325 million cubic meters of natural gas were used. It is enough not only to pay the winter maximum, but also to provide supply for all the heating season.
63% of heat and water networks are out of date, Minister of Housing and Communal Service Anatoly Bliznyuk says. So, crashes are possible. In that case, 400,000 workers of this sphere are ready to react to malfunctions in the heat and water supplying. These days, utility service workers will be on duty around the clock.
In the housing and communal system, 4,420 operational brigades regarding all the directions of system were created, particularly in the building maintenance, water and energy supply. Moreover, we, together with all ministries and departments, have worked out the cooperation scheme.
Emergencies Minister remembered the accident at the main water pipeline in Luhansk region. 5 years ago, while there was 30 degrees frost, all the city heating system and after that energy and gas networks broke down. Viktor Baloha assured that mistakes were took into account. Then machines and specialists were gathered over 3 days. Now the list of necessary things was prepared in advance. Currently, it shouldn't take more than 5 hours to gather all the necessary. Emergencies Ministry had also opened more than 1,700 heating shelters in the regions.
Ми готові на протязі 4-5 годин.
We are ready to provide 60 fully equipped brigades in 4-5 hours to fully recover the normal work of the object. In Ukraine, 1,735 heating shelters are working. Matters of heating, food and first aid are being solved. I think that the ministry together with the regional bodies did it in time. We are providing facilities, food and everything that is necessary. During 27th of January, 1st of February, 31,500 of people appealed to us to receive warmth and hot meals.
The frost won't retreat soon, according to the Emergencies Ministry forecasts, at least until the middle of February. Roman Gnatyuk, Inessa Zanina, Igor Kokodim, UTR News.
The consequences of the unusually low temperatures are severe for the people, but they're hard on Ukraine's all-important agricultural sector as well. The formidable cold is expected to continue for 2 more weeks at least, mostly without precipitation, specifies the Ukrainian Meteorological Agency. Our correspondents found out how this will affect the 2012 harvest.
Due to bad weather, autumn drought and abnormally cold winter, a large part of the 2012 harvest is already lost. Farmers will have to replant at least 30% of the winter grains. The biggest losses are in barley and rapeseed. Rye has survived fairly intact. Experts assure that there is no reason for panic just yet. Ukraine will fully provide itself with bread.
In our opinion, in their current state, winter grains will not be able to survive in their entirety. Below ground temperatures will allow us to assess the extent of the probable damage. Barley is the most temperature-resistant crop. In places where there is no stable snow cover, even barley fields are already starting to get damaged.
It is no tragedy, but we already know for sure that at least 30% of grain fields will have to be resown. The total wheat harvest will be 15 million tons.
That makes a more modest harvest for 2012, experts point out. On the positive side, only 6 million tons of wheat will suffice to cover the entire Ukrainian domestic market. On the negative side, a smaller harvest always means higher prices. Prepare for more expensive bread is their message.
They are keeping the prices down at the cost of the producer, the farmer, because they bought cheap grain. All other factors have been exhausted. Prices will increase from 20 to 35%, depending on the way the situation develops.
Reworking the damaged fields will cost the state at least $250 million. There are good news as well. Low temperatures will not harm fruits or berries, so Ukrainians will be sure to get their dose of vitamins this year. Roman Gnatyuk, Anna Vitar, Igor Gonchar, UTR News.
And schools were closed as of this Monday due to the cold weather. The Ministry of Education recommends that the management of schools follow the weather forecast, emphasizing that classes should be suspended as long as temperatures fall below -20 degrees Celsius. This week, they've surpassed 32 below zero in some regions of Ukraine. Ukraine's first high-tech perinatal center was inaugurated in Kirovograd. Built within the framework of a presidential program of mother and child well-being, the center will allow Ukrainian moms to give birth in the best conditions. Kirovograd was chosen because the rate of infant and maternal mortality in this very region was hereto the highest in the country.
In Kirovograd, central Ukraine, Viktor Yanukovych was shown technical center for aircraft service. It was opened in December 2011 on private funds. This is the first certified docking hangar in Ukraine, which was built according to European standards. During its visiting, Viktor Yanukovych said that Kirovograd city is a model for other regions and is worth the state support. After technical center, the president took part in the perinatal center opening. It is the first in the frameworks of the national project titled National Life and Equality of Maternity and Childhood.
Це дуже важлива подія.
This is a very important event not only for Kirovograd, but for the whole Ukraine. Because the program that we started last year will start working as soon as perinatal center doors are opened. And if we take child under public care since his birth, we'll have future.
Viktor Yanukovych noted that building of the perinatal center in Kirovograd is an example of cooperation between state and business. Its total cost is about $5 million. Part of this sum was allocated by regional authorities. In addition, the Viktor Pinchuk Foundation has also financially supported a new center.
We opened this center because state authorities took initiative and worked most effectively.
Ukrainian president handed certificates for Kirovograd Medical Institution's equipment, and after the center opening, Mr. Yanukovych examined the new center. After that, Viktor Yanukovych visited the meeting where he reminded the heads of other regions that such perinatal centers should be built in all regions by 2014.
All of you must follow the example of Kirovograd mayor, because Kirovograd region has shown everyone how to work effectively. It is a very good example and it is great.
Perinatal center is only the beginning, noted head of the regional state administration Serhiy Larin. He also added that qualitative medical services would be close to the remotest corners of the region.
This year we will focus our attention on the second level, on each district hospital and on mobile diagnostic centers. We do this to implement a massive early diagnosis from school children to pensioners, and we are ready to become a pilot project to implement such system.
President of the National Academy of Sciences Andriy Serdyuk immediately agreed to help with specialists and offered a certain support.
The National Academy of Sciences is ready to curate you. If you agree, we are ready to come here and to solve not only the problems of perinatal center, but all the areas which you were talking about as well.
Viktor Pinchuk, head of the Viktor Pinchuk Foundation, assures that any project must be accompanied with patrons. Mr. Pinchuk recalls how he participated in a similar project for the first time.
Our equipment was installed a few years earlier, and twins were lucky having been born and weighing only 650 and 700 grams. These children could be placed on the palm. I saw them and I decided that such centers must be built throughout the country.
Medical topic was continued during Viktor Yanukovych's press conference. The president noted that the end goal is providing services at a high level, beginning with village health centers.
We need great funds to fulfill this task. We are keeping the reforms of healthcare and improvement of medical services. If we continue this way, programs funding will be increased each year.
Оксана Чужих, Ірина Дідушева, Анастасія Мусатенко, Юрій Мірошник, Анатолій Басистий, UTR News.
Farmers urged the Ukrainian parliament to modify the draft law on the land market. The document was adopted in its first reading in early December, gathering protests under the parliament's walls. Agrarians insist should the bill pass in its current form, only the rich will be able to buy land.
At the end of last year, when deputies were going to take a recess, farmers attacked the fence at the Ukrainian parliament and even brought a cow with them. Then MPs listened to the will of people and didn't adopt the law on the land market in the second reading. They also set moratorium on land selling until the year 2013. But then deputies promised to consider the law from the first day of the new session. Now farmers are afraid. If the law is adopted in the existing version, only rich can afford to buy land, while small farmers will not be able to do it.
Today the number of farmers who have their own floating assets is insignificant, and only few people can buy or sell land under the condition of the financial crisis, and it will harm the strengthening of Ukrainian agricultural industry.
Farmers convinced that the whole land should be at the disposal of the state. Then the domestic treasury will get $5.5 billion annually.
Today there are 45 million hectares of arable land in Ukraine. If state was the owner of the whole land and decided by itself to let out land on lease to a farmer or a holding, $125 per hectare a year, they would regularly pay rent. It is nearly $5.5 billion annually. This money would fill the budget.
Deputies explained that the law on the land market will come into force only from January 2013, so they will have enough time to correct the deficiencies. Moreover, no one is going to lift the moratorium on the prohibition of land sale. The land has been already shared, and the owner himself must decide what to do with it. The law only will systematize the procedure of buying and selling of land.
We want to make some amendments in order farmers to know how to sell land, in order they know price, customers and the number of hectares. If a person wants to farm, we'll have land management mechanism, how much land the owner can have. Even leaseholders know how much land they can have at their disposal.
Farmers complain if deputies adopt the law on the land market, deterioration in small and medium agribusiness will happen, and land will be in hands of large agricultural holdings. Currently, the average cost per hectare in Ukraine is $1.5 thousand. According to agricultural experts, after introducing the land market, the price per hectare can be raised up to $2 or $2.5 thousand. Sergei Kovalchuk, Miroslava Melnik, Irina Moroz, Evgeny Stepanov, UTR News.
The State Border Service of Ukraine is preparing for Euro 2012. A conference took place in Kiev to discuss the preparations for an influx of foreign football fans. Currently, the agency identified 32 border crossing points that will be the most actively impacted. Passenger traffic in certain places is expected to increase by as much as 40%.
It is estimated that more than 1.5 million soccer fans visit Ukraine and Poland during the Euro 2012. So the main task of border guards to simplify and speed up border crossing procedures. It is expected that the main burden will be at the airports of cities that will host Euro Championship. Currently, a mechanism for exchange of information on passengers between airports is worked out, which will reduce border crossing to 20 seconds.
After the registration of passengers at the airport of departure, information about them is transmitted by airline representatives to the central server of Boryspil. Information processing will be carried out by the special group of experts. After, it will be sent to airports of Donetsk, Kharkiv and Lviv. Finally, during the monitoring, the border guard will carry out only identification of person and make a mark in a passport.
Many fans will also arrive by train and car, especially through the Ukrainian-Polish and Ukrainian-Russian border. Now the crossing points of these segments are arranged. Particular attention is paid to English-speaking training of border inspectors. Tournament director in Ukraine, Markian Lubkivsky, is pleased because real football festival of Euro 2012 will begin to fans already at the border crossing.
Some things are very important. The compliance of European standards of border control, quick resolution of abnormal situations, close interaction with UEFA and the local organizing committee.
The main slogan of the State Border Service in 2012 is security, speed, comfort and culture. Volodymyr Zhila, Maxim Ostapenko, Igor Korkodym, UTR News.
Advanced calculus is as easy as 1, 2, 3 for the students of Kiev's Lesser Academy of Sciences. This week, the specialized school inaugurated the start of its winter semester.
You can't enter such school by an accident. There is a strict preselection. Only after passing dozens of tests and interviews with excellent result, some young scientists can become students of Small Academy of Sciences by correspondence. Teachers say that the main thing is quality, not quantity.
These schools are not intended to involve a large number of children. We should find best of the best. Having 4 schools where there are 20 people in each. As a rule, it is 1 child per region who is seriously focused on science. To organize these schools, we involve serious logistic and financial resources. They are not reviewed for average children.
Despite their young age, small Einsteins take part in international conferences and scientific projects. Leading scientists of the European Center for Nuclear Research, CERN, give lectures to these students. CERN is the largest world scientific laboratory.
Everyone heard about Hadron Collider. We couldn't even imagine that we can see something similar, but now it becomes a reality. Our children come there to study. They listen to the lections, choose topics that are on the edge of scientific knowledge. It surely has great importance for our education and for our science.
Such establishments have been functioning for 5 years already. Studying simultaneously at ordinary schools and later at universities, Small Academy of Sciences students have benefits over ordinary ones, teachers assure, because they get priceless experience and scientific academy support.
The small Academy of Sciences gives a lot of possibilities to us. This certificate is an invitation to study in the best educational establishments of Ukraine. It is very important for us.
We can definitely explain these feelings. There were a lot of obstacles before getting here, bad weather, but I cope with it because Small Academy of Sciences is my life.
Maybe some of them, inexperienced young geniuses, will become real great scientists and will hold in their hands not only certificates of studying at the Small Academy of Sciences schools as now, but their Nobel Prize as well. Roman Natyuk, Olena Lazarenko, Igor Korkodim, UTR News.
From obedient students to rebellion in Ukraine's cyber world. In the wake of the closure of the American web-based content-sharing portal Mega Upload, law enforcement shut down the domain of Ukraine's biggest content-sharing site, XUA. The law enforcers were responding to copyright complaints from such international corporations as Microsoft. Ukraine's cyber community responded with hacker attacks on web pages of several government agencies, including that of the President, the Cabinet of Ministers, the Ministry for Internal Affairs, the Security Service, the National Bank, the Tax Authority, as well as organization pages of the Party of Regions and the Channel 1+1, one of the complainants. The Internal Ministry eventually ceded and returned the domain. The content-sharing website is now back up and running.
On the 1st of February, at around 8 p.m. Kiev time, were recorded systematic DDoS attacks on the government's website. Due to this, the cabinet site switched to the backup server and continued working, although with malfunctions. The websites of other executive bodies recorded similar difficulties. This is a very serious challenge for us that obliges us to dramatically review our information security system and its improvement.
One's history can be found not only in history books. One's history is woven and embroidered into the clothes our ancestors wore. An exhibition of traditional Ukrainian garments opened in Kiev. Our journalists saw all and tell all.
The 100 or so outfits on display are not so ancient. They were still commonly worn a half a century ago. In many parts of Ukraine, similar ones are still worn today. Homespun, hand-sewn and embroidered woolen, linen and cotton clothes are durable and comfortable. The time invested in their handiwork makes them even harder to part with.
We collect these clothes from villages and wash them. In the village, you can buy a complete traditional outfit for $125 or a little more.
The combinations of colors and patterns on the dress were not random. Each ornament of embroidery had its own meaning. Using clothes, people could program eternal love into a marriage or a healthy, prosperous life for themselves and their loved ones. Certain colors and patterns could even protect from evil spirits. For this reason, in the Polissa region of Ukraine, red and white were preferred to other colors.
Polissa is situated on a lowland. There are a lot of rivers, lakes, bogs, marshes, so the energy is almost not circulating. The color red activates the energy. In order to protect oneself from evil spirits, one should wear clothing with red color.
Thus, each region of Ukraine brought its own specifications into clothing. Patterns and colors varied depending on where the garments were produced. Can you tell which is which? Serhiy Kovalchuk, Katerina Smetana, Igor Korkodim, UTR News.
And that's all for this week's digest. I'll be with you again next week. Until then, bye-bye.
War tried to catch me, but didn't caught. These words are written on the grave of prominent Ukrainian philosopher and enlightener Grigory Skovoroda. Having born in 1722 in poor Cossack family, he became one of the most experienced people of his time. Grigory Skovoroda got education in Kyiv-Mohyla Academy, then studied sciences abroad for several years. He worked as a teacher at Kharkiv University and Pereyaslav Collegium. He had all reasons to make brilliant career and after different conflicts with power, choose other way, a fate of traveling philosopher and enlightener. His journey continued almost for 30 years, and it seems conciliate philosopher with the world as well as taught to search fortune for themselves everyone who met with him. Glory about Skovoroda went so far away, so that Queen Katerina II wished so that he removed to Petersburg. messenger of Queen, called philosopher Edge of Rod. He played on pipe, and not far away sheep depastured. Skovoroda thanked and calmly answered, "Say, Queen, that I will not leave Ukraine. For me a pipe and a sheep are dearer than Tsar crown." Grigory Skovoroda has great influence on the society. Contemporaries considered him traveling academy. By education and intellect, Skovoroda for sure was elite, belonged to the cream of the society. He knowingly did not want to lose contact with the people. He consolidated freedom of personality by his life, the main of freedoms. Every day is unique.